We've talked about this in the past, but Jonah Savaiinaea has still not signed his rookie contract after being drafted 38th overall and in the second round. And as more news and evidence comes out around the situation, it's getting more and more sketchy for the Miami Dolphins. And this is why you subscribe to the channel, because we talked about this before a week or two ago. This was the thumbnail on the video. You see it? Dolphins Today with Jonah Savaiinaea. So if you want to be up to date on everything Miami Dolphins, make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay alert for all of our content, because we've talked about this in the past, but there was a little bit of a newer update, which I wanted to showcase again, because we talked about this last week, but as we're filming this today on Tuesday, Jonah still hasn't signed that rookie contract. And we're inching closer and closer to rookies and veterans reporting to Dolphins training camp. And with these two things coming, if he is not under contract, could we potentially see a holdout between Jonah and Miami? We're already starting to see that across the league a little bit here, which is causing me a little bit of an uneasy feeling. And that is why we're here making this video. But I want to take it back about a month, 2 months ago. I forget when it actually happened. I guess May 8th is the exact date. Because the Texans is what got this screwed ball starting. The Texans signed their 34th overall pick, the second overall pick in the second round, Jayden Higgins, to an unprecedented contract. It was the first ever second round pick to get the entire rookie 4-year contract guaranteed. First time ever. And then the Browns, who had the 33rd pick in the draft, the first pick of the second round, followed suit with the linebacker out of UCLA, Carson Schlesinger. So Schlesinger and Higgins got fully guaranteed 4-year contracts as second rounders. It has never been done before in the history of the NFL. So now every other player that was taken in the second round is like, hey, my colleagues here got a fully guaranteed deal. I want a fully guaranteed deal. So there are only 2 second-round picks that have signed their contracts, Schlesinger and Jayden Higgins. And as we're getting closer to training camp getting started, we might see holdouts beginning. We saw these rookies go to OTAs and minicamp, but now that it's still this late in the offseason and these aren't kind of coming to a resolution, it's sketchy, man. And Trey Harris, the Chargers, who are playing in the Hall of Fame game, so it's coming a little bit quicker for them, had rookies report. He didn't show up. It's a holdout for this rookie wide receiver out of Ole Miss who was taken the second round. And we might see more and more second-round picks that aren't signed, a.k.a. 30 out of the 32 of them, not show up to their respective training camps. And this is getting very, very dicey, not only for the Miami Dolphins, but the rest of these teams that made selections in the NFL second round. And when you think about it for Miami specifically, this impacts us in such a large way because of how much we are relying on our second round pick to be a starter and a contributor right away. You look at like a player like Trey Harris with LA, like, yeah, does it hurt? Yeah, absolutely. But he's a wide receiver that is their wide receiver 3 behind Mike Williams and Ladd McConkey. Like, it's not the biggest deal in the world if they don't have him early on in the process. But considering Miami is banking on Jonah to be a starter on the offensive line, yeah, it is really important for Miami, and it's why this is such a big deal in my opinion. So you make the call. I want to know, are you concerned about the Jonah Savaiinaea situation in Miami? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I asked this last week when we made this video. Do you have an updated thought? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I said when we talked about this, I am not getting concerned. But now that we have seen another week go by of nobody signing a contract and Trey Harris officially begin a holdout as a second-round pick in this draft, I am now starting to get concerned. For the reasons that I just mentioned. If Miami drafted a player that is a luxury, like a running back, which obviously they wouldn't have done. But like, you get my point. Then it's like, all right, we got other people to position. Miami does not have anybody else at the position that Jonah Savaiinaea slotted into play. This is your starting right guard or left guard. We are unsure of where it is going to be. I think it would be smart for him to play right guard, and then you have James Daniels play left guard. We'll ultimately see which one it is, but Jonah, nonetheless, is supposed to be a starting player for the Dolphins this season. And with training camp starting next week, and the Miami Dolphins being a team that can't really just lollygag around with how poorly things went last season and so many question marks about your locker room and your coaching staff and your disciplinarian system, you cannot have rookies and projected starters not reporting the training camp. Like, it just simply is a bad optics. And to me, with Miami needing him badly because of how bad the offensive line was a year ago, they simply can't let it get to this point. And I really just don't understand why Miami wouldn't be willing to maybe cave in and give a fully guaranteed deal. Like, I'm sorry, you traded up from 48 to 38 to get him. So you clearly value him at a very high remark. And his teammates spoke very highly about his work ethic and activity, trying to learn and get better early in this offseason. Like, are we really fighting over a couple million of dollars in the 2028 cap situation? Like, I don't know if that is a smart move for Miami. And I'll mention it once again. Because of how poorly the offensive line was in 2024, the only way that you have a better season in 2025 is if your offensive line improves in a massive way. You were one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line in football last season. Maybe not the worst. The Texans and Patriots were really, really bad, but you were bottom 5 at bare minimum. Like, you need to get better, and if it doesn't improve, you're just going to be in the same spot you were last season. And we'll look at some numbers here in a second. But how about this deal, Dolphins fans? Huge sale. Little aqua and orange cutoff hoodie here. Usually $55. You can get it right now for $33. Sizes, all of them in stock. Just go to chatsports.com/MIA cutoff sale. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Take advantage right now before the sale goes away. One more time, chatsports.com/MIA cutoff sale. We showed this graphic last week, but the PFF grade that Miami's O-line received last year was 56, the 27th mark in the NFL. Absolutely horrific. Their pass block win rate was 56%, 28th in the NFL. Abysmal. Run block win rate, 70%, 26th in the NFL. A consensus bottom 5 offensive line, not in the AFC, in the National Football League. Even more embarrassing numbers here for Miami. As a team, their yards per carry was tied for 27th as they averaged 4 yards a toe. Their rushing first down percentage. How many times were they able to move the chains on a rush attempt? 20.7%. It was the worst in football. Just clearly in signifying even more that when it's 3rd and short, 4th and short, they are unable to pick up the yardage necessary because their offensive line was very, very bad. It's just embarrassing, and it simply cannot happen. Why have the Miami Dolphins struggled in November, December, January over the last 3 years under Mike McDaniel? Well, it's because they have a soft mentality as a ball club, and their offensive line has simply not been good enough. And it goes back to this point of needing Jonah Savaiinaea in Miami, ready to get rolling when training camp gets underway, because he is a rookie projected starter that needs to learn this tough McDaniel offensive scheme and get reps in with his fellow offensive linemen. Because I fully believe that the Dolphins did everything in their power to upgrade the O-line from last year to this year. Sure, you're downgrading slightly from Armstead to Patrick Paul, but you drafted Paul in the 2nd round of 2024, knowing that this was inevitably going to happen. But signing James Daniels to replace Robert Jones is an unbelievable improvement. Going from Liam Eichenberg to Jonah Savaiinaea is hopefully an unbelievably good improvement. And then with Aaron Brewer coming back in his 2nd year of the scheme and Austin Jackson hopefully playing more than 8 games in 2025, this is a much improved offensive line that should maybe not go into the top 10 of the entire NFL, but move from consensus bottom 5 to at least inside the top 20. And even if you just move inside the top 20 of of the NFL offensive lines, well, now we're going to be talking about a group that can actually help Miami play more physical, have a more well-balanced offensive attack, and potentially win more football games late in the season when it's colder and you need to be a physical team that can run the football in November, December, and January. And we're going to round out the show here in a second, but keep it real with me, Dolphins fans. What is your confidence level in this O-line? Maybe you have to factor in the fact that Jonah Savaiinaea is not signed yet. Scale 1 to 10 for me down in the comments. And maybe I'm naive. Maybe it's bad business. I don't know. I'm sorry. I am fully fine with giving Jonah a fully guaranteed deal. If that is what is required to make sure he's in the building, remember, when you're drafted in the second round, it's not like how much money you're getting. You get a contract based off your draft slot. And it's just only about how much money is guaranteed versus not guaranteed. You are drafting Jonah to be a long-term starter. And it is very rare for a second-round pick to not make it through their entire rookie contract. For example, Liam Eichenberg, who was absolutely horrific in his career, was a second-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. He made it through his first 4 years under contract, and heck, the Dolphins gave him a 1-year deal this year to keep him in the building. Like, even though Cam Smith has not been good in his first 2 years, he's not going to get cut entering year 3. So it's like, he's going to be here for at least 3 years. So just give him a fully guaranteed contract. And we just showed the career numbers and grades from Pro Football Focus on Liam Eichenberg. He can't be your starter again. He's an okay, like, I'm not going to cry about him being your interior depth because he's versatile and he knows the scheme. And he's been a starter at multiple different positions. But could you imagine if the Savaiinaea situation continues to get worse and Liam Eichenberg is trouting out there week 1 at right guard to be your starting offensive lineman against the Indianapolis Colts? Like, that would be a disaster. I would be furious. Like, I'm like legitimately trying to wrap my head around him potentially being a starter for Miami on September 7th or September 8th, week 1. And I simply can't do it. I don't know if I could even watch the season. That's just such a bad tone setter to me. Can't do it. Liam Eichenberg can't be a starter. And for that reason is why I'm so fine with just biting the bullet and saying, yeah, I'll give Jonah a fully guaranteed deal if it means that he's showing up ready to roll day 1 of training camp so he can get the reps necessary physically and mentally to be a starter week 1 on this O-line. That's how I feel. And we're going to continue to keep you covered on the situation with daily videos. If Jonah signs his contract, we'll make sure you have a video on that. If this continues to drag out, we'll talk about it as well. So join the channel here as we're a family at Dolphins Today. And if you want to be the most informed Dolphins fan on the planet, don't wait any longer. Join us.